What's going on, everyone? Today is August 16th. We are stopping by for a little midweek review. It is Wednesday. We're going to go over dollar. I'll touch it for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then Henry will talk to you about ES. Hopefully, if you were on Sunday's call, this week's price action is not a surprise to you. Basically, everything kind of played out with what we were expecting, but we'll go ahead and talk about it and not waste too much time. So I'm going to go over dollar. Henry goes over ES as is. Basically, really nothing to touch on the weekly. Obviously, drawing higher into the buy side liquidity. We have not reached there, but we have achieved that SIBI. Right, we've got a SIBI right here. When we were talking last, we were kind of down in here. More information on the daily. As we kind of fully pulled into that area where we were around that buy side liquidity and above that SIBI on Monday, this wick high and this wick open, this two down closure candles, you could have used as a order block viewing that, and you would overall want the top half of just this entire range, more so now that we had gotten above the SIBI and closed above both SIBIs. If I take this away and I just take the breaker block away and we're just studying SIBI and SIBI, seeing how the top half of it respected once we did get that closure and push through the SIBI, right? Even though we didn't necessarily close through the SIBI, we did get price action through it, and we are close enough now where I am decently confident that we're going to at least attack these two buy side liquidity pools. But note how we use this as an order block, right? These two down closure candles, and we use the high and the open of it, and really kind of just noting Tuesday's price action, right? Where did the Tuesday low form? And you can see where that kind of formed based on this down closure that was the high of the day on Thursday, August 3rd. So just notice that support that was used there based off the order block inside the SIBI after it was already inverted. How was it inverted? Well, we had already closed through it, right? We closed through it. So if I go back here, I touch this, right? After this closure, right, we're looking for price to invert this. And in reality, if we're trying to get accurate, we really want the top half of it to show sensitivity. We don't necessarily, even though it can, as a trader, you want to, try to start to anticipate price being sensitive to the top half of it, top 50%. And something that you could have used to guide you was obviously this down closure here. So you're wanting price, this is kind of something that you're looking for, right? And we're not quite there yet, but we are pretty close, right? We're not far from that target. So obviously this was something that we had talked about after we had this candle go all the way through here and not necessarily show any sign to close back below this candle or this candle. After we got this candle delivered on the 10th of August last Thursday, it was kind of anticipated that we were going to go higher. And then it wasn't really until a matter of Monday after we closed above this initial SIBI we were looking at to where then you could have started to use that guidance and that model of inverting it into the buy side liquidity, excuse me. Other than that, that's about it. I do expect this week to close. If it doesn't take both of them, I definitely think we could target 103.572. I think that's the high. Yeah, 103.572. I think we'll definitely get the first one, but they are relatively close, so we'll see where the week ends up. But keep that in the scope for your end of week insights. From my side, before I give it up to Henry, we're not going to go into any trade reviews. I took a trade this week. Henry took a couple trades this week, but we're not going to go over them in the midweek reviews. We're going to save any and all trade reviews for the Sunday calls. This call on Wednesdays is really just for you guys to get an update on where we stand following what we were talking about on the previous Sunday and where the week could close. We're going to try to keep it as short and sweet as we can. Other than that, I'm going to give it to Henry. Thank you. Henry, what you got?
I hope I understand that. Hope you're doing well with your exercise that you talked about last week as well. I'm not screen share that. Okay. All right, so here we are with ES. It was 2 weeks ago when we talked about this liquidity void up here being rebalanced, right? So you're delivering to it here, trading all the way through the high, back down to the low, and then trading away from it at that point. It's been rebalanced. So then I'm looking for responsiveness at the consequent encroachment here, which we saw not this week, but in the last week, trading up into the consequent encroachment, making the high of the week up there, and then trading back down to the sell side and into this proportion block here. We trade mark out the opening price and the mean threshold as areas that we wanted to see potentially offer support for a return back higher if this was going to trade higher. We talked about if we do get closure beneath the mean threshold of this proportion block here, then we would be looking for lower prices in the sell side and on a monthly chart trading into this BISI here. Okay. So now as we look into our lower time frames, you can start to see that we are likely getting that close below the threshold. So the next delivery to be expected is down here into sell side and then potentially deeper into this monthly BISI as long as the bearish rate continues. So next would be down potentially under this low, and then looking at consequent encroachment here. There is a small imbalance remaining right here, which closely aligns with the consequent encroachment. And then this imbalance here has already been rebalanced. So if it doesn't turn price here, then I'd expect that we could potentially cut through it. Okay. Here on the daily chart, you can see this was 2 weeks ago when we traded up into consequent encroachment at volume imbalance. Came off of there, and then here's Monday of this week. So we started the week by trading back up into this weekly CB, or weekly BISI, here. So we traded through, traded back to the high, traded back down through it. So it's been that balance. It's now that balance price range. And then on the daily chart, same idea as up here, looking for responsiveness at the consequent encroachment. So we trade right up into there. I'll also mark out this volume imbalance here, where the high of the day and of the week was made on Tuesday. We can also look how the liquidity void is used again, putting on the quadrants. So if you look at the bottom quarter, we're now respecting right around the bottom quarter of that liquidity void. And then trading off of there, also using this up as point here as an order block flow, and then trading back lower, down into the sell side targets we were expecting. So mean threshold here, and then as we cut through there, looking down to on the daily chart, this reduction block, the lowest body in this swing low, and then looking to sell side number. So today, prior to FOMC, in the morning, we traded up right into the low of this candle, which will be the proportion block on the daily chart. It's also an immediate rebalance. We're trading right up into there, and then just trading off down towards sell side. So as we look into the rest of the week, I'd say sell side is our most likely draw under this low here, and then just looking down to this last down plus candle here, and viewing this as another balance price range. So looking to trade here, and and beneath there, we can start looking to consequent encroachment here for monthly BISI, and into this small gap here on the daily, and there's one there on the weekly as well. That is if the bearish rate of flow continues, which at the moment there's nothing showing quite yet that this is ready to make the return higher. So like we always talk about, don't try and touch the tops, don't try and touch the bottoms, just trade what you're seeing, right? And at the moment, we keep seeing new swing highs made here, 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 and continuing to work lower into sell side. So what we're seeing is that they're short of flow, and we can expect to continue seeing lower prices until we have a sign of trading back higher, which would be some sort of market structure shift of others. That's pretty much it for yes. Carson, you have any notes on this or that?
Yeah, I do have something. If you can keep right there, I'll just annotate, because I remember, if I can remember correctly, there was something that I was talking about this past weekend about identify a weekly draw on liquidity, which would have this week we were talking we gave both sides, but we know dollar was going higher, so that weekly draw on liquidity was some form of sell side liquidity, which is obviously this 44.11 and a quarter that Henry has as a red line. We were identifying that as a weekly draw on liquidity, and then the next thing is identify the economic calendar, right? Identify the days that you're going to have volatility, but then you need to wait for price to move in the opposite direction, right? And on Monday, what did we do? We moved in the opposite direction of the draw of liquidity. That would be this candle right here, right? We waited for price to move in the opposite direction. We waited for price to then also deliver into some form of premium array that we were looking to see then a reaction off of, right? That would have been your quarter point and the consequent encroachment of that weekly BISI right there, right? You see that? Then we follow with looking for displacement, right? We're looking for price to then move in our direction. Before we can identify any form of trade, we're looking for price to move in our direction, right? That's when you get this candle, right? Price displaces, and then from that point, you now have the move in your direction. Now you're looking for some form of balance to then continue in that direction towards the draw on liquidity, right? And that's where you get to the point where Henry was saying, where you find that immediately rebalance on that proportion block low, and you're able to then also find trades. You know, you don't even have to be at the very high, but you could get somewhere inside that daily wick and not have to target. You don't have to target all this, right? You don't have to target the sell side liquidity, right? You can 5 handles, 7 handles, 10 handles, 15 handles, whatever that intraday little small draw on liquidity is, or even your threshold trading with regards to reward and how many handles you can kind of take or where you're at building it. That's just the setup, right? That's the setup that we were talking about this weekend, that if you can mold that into your system and understand the weekly draw on liquidity, the economic calendar, and when you should be trading, when you should be trading, let price deliver against you, right? Let it deliver opposite of where the draw on liquidity is into some form of array that you're potentially looking for a reversal or price to trade away from, right? And then from there, let it displace, let it move in the direction you want it to. Find some form of displacement or area where you know that it probably needs to go fill before actually filling the entire draw on liquidity, which would have been a day like today, right? You get that immediate rebalance. And then off of that, right, that's when you can sit there and start to take risk and you know, have evidence and weight tied to your case as to why price is going to go 5, 10, 15 handles, you know. I know we spent a little time talking about that on the call this weekend, and I wanted to show you guys how that kind of unfolded this week, right? And it's only Wednesday, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that the market's going to, you know, consolidate, but you know, we know where the draw still is, right? It's still the draw. It hasn't been drawn to yet. So going into tomorrow, right? The only thing that I would really say is just keep this whole area in the back of your mind, right? Keep that area back in your mind. Keep this low in the back of your mind as you're going into that, you know, Thursday and Friday. Keep that in the area because you never know. Price could pull up into here and then take the draw, right? And that's still valid, right? You also now have a little bit of a bigger range that you could pull up to, right? If price decides to create a wick down here, right? Let's say you create a wick right here, and then you want to pull all the way back up. Maybe it wants to pull all the way up into the mean threshold of this propulsion block, right? Maybe we're pulling up into that area, and then we're going lower, right? That's where the lower time frames come in handy, and that's where you can start to build cases, right? You need to build a lot off of the daily and follow that and have that be kind of an anchor, but you can get a lot more information just by going into the smaller time frames and kind of reading it as it plays there. Other than that, I'm all good. That's the only thing I wanted to touch.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. So just looking for trading up into that. We can even go down real quick and see if we can find something in here. We'll mark out that low. Let's just say immediate rebalance. Daily. And then I'll go down into a 15-minute. So that's that daily low there. And then here, right at 10 a.m. in that end of the London close, we're making the high. shift in market structure under the low, and then a return back up into a perimeter of this range inside a city right here, and inside. Did this make any more? Right there. Well, you may be able to find a breaker in here as well. If you look on a different time frame, but trading up into an old low and the city right here, and then looking back down into a rejection mark. And
the only other thing I will add though is just the typical August tendency of when you go on smaller time frames into this price action and this price action, right? Even though it is textbook and you know this price action, I would say the lower half, yes, you have the easy, you've got a city right here, but more in the AM session, right? If you were in on a 1 minute, you probably might have gotten a little tripped up or you could have gotten confused down here. That's August tendencies, right? Price is coming in, it's revisiting that area 3 times after already delivering the high at 3 a.m. And a lot of you guys might see that as, you know, buy side liquidity and relative equal highs, but you have to just trust the direction. You have to trust the narrative. And August is going to deliver a lot more choppiness price action. That's the only other one. That's my last thing I wanted to add.
yeah, and also remembering today was FOMC meetings as well. So just being cautious of that AM session leading up to FOMC. If you do decide to trade, it's commonly seek and destroy, which if we go on a lower time frame, you can see how that developed up here. Right, so coming down, creating some lows, coming up, making a new high, trading almost at this high, back down under the lows, back above highs, back down lows. So this is challenging price action to trade on a lower time frame. If you do trade on a little bit of a higher time frame, you can potentially find some other setups. Like here in the morning, we have all these relative equals here. Sell side's purged here at 8:45. I'm going to shift the market structure above here. You can use this as your breaker. You drag that out. Price hits the consequent approaching of this here, and then trades back up to the high. So there is a small scalp opportunity there, but again, that is trading against a higher time frame trend. So the better opportunity is to wait for this action. And maybe, I mean, FOMC is a day where you don't have to trade at all. So, or you wait till that last hour, like we talked about. So, as we get toward the 3 o'clock hour, then you can start to look for a setup here potentially, or you see something like this, and maybe you don't catch this 2022 mark, because it's still at 230 there. But if we come down into a lower time frame again, 1 minute, we have the exact same thing here, right? So we're trading up into that 15-minute city, shift the market structure under the slow. We have a breaker right here. We have a city here and a small one again there. So you trade up into it. That would be your sell. Your stop loss can be up here or up high. And then you're looking for your expand. Right. So that's what you see going into the rest of the week. Just looking for a sell side down here and potentially some lower prices if the bear trade flow continues. And hope everyone's doing well with their exercise. We're looking forward to reviewing some of those on our call on Sunday. So just be sure and make sure to get your screenshots of your account history and your trades, and if you have a trade recording, it's awesome as well. And make sure to get those emailed over to Carson or on the site.
Yes. Do not forget. Please knock out those exercises. Send them in. We've already gotten some submissions. Have been getting great feedback. Great trades that I've seen come through. A couple really good ones, even a couple failures, right? And that's good. You can tell just by the demeanor of some of the ones that are losing trades. You can tell, right? They're trying to figure out why they're losing. They're given a lot of content and what's the word? A lot of information, right? They're journals of emotions, timing. Excuse the dogs in the background, by the way. But very good stuff. Very good stuff. Do not forget to do that stuff. Sorry for the dogs in the background. But other than that, Henry, do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, guys. Well, we are still working out, knocking out the website and stuff like that for you guys. We will hopefully have it done in the next week or so. Other than that, keep plugging along. Shoot us with any questions. Keep uploading those exercises. And other than that, we will talk to you guys on Sunday. Hope to hear from you soon. Finish the week strong. Trade safe.
Yeah.